Philippine election. We all know that key people are being elected in different positions, but do we really know how the system works? How can we know if we are eligible to vote? What are the processes? What are the do's and don'ts on election day? Skip those long descriptions on Google because we got you covered. But first, the question is, are you already eligible to vote? To be eligible, there are few requirements when registering. First, you must be a Filipino citizen who is at least 18 years old by the day of the elections. You must also be a Philippine resident for not less than a year and also a resident of the locality where you plan to vote for at least 6 months. The COMELEC requires registrants to fill out their complete list of application forms and bring a valid ID as a proof of identification. The list of documents include an application for registration form, a supplementary data form, and a health declaration form, all of which are downloadable for the COMELEC website online. After filling out the documents, you must submit the accomplished form and supporting documents to the local office of the election officer or OEO, where you want to register and wait for further instruction. Also, going to the COMELEC for registration, you must bring the valid ID, photocopy of the valid ID, personal ballpen, face mask, face shield, and a bottle of water. And for the valid ID, any valid ID, not just the national ID, is accepted by the COMELEC. Bring at least one of the following valid IDs with a photocopy for submission, like this: employee ID, postal ID, PWD ID, PWD discount ID, signed student ID or library card, senior citizen ID, driver's license, NBI clearance, valid Philippine passport, Unified Multi-Purpose ID or UMID, Integrated Bar of the Philippines or IPP ID, Professional Regulatory Commission or PRC license, and last, Certificate of Confirmation from National Commission on Indigenous People or NCIP. But any of the ID mentioned are not available, check your local office of the election officer for the alternative option. Additional questions: are there options for online registration? New voters may fill out an online application form via COMELEC's iRegistro web app for paperless options. The online applications form are forward and you only have to select the most suitable options for you. However, to complete your registration, you must still go to your local COMELEC office based on your appointment date and proceed with the next step. Now that we are registered voters, there are important reminders that every voter should remember in order to vote smoothly during the voting day. Also, the Commission on Election COMELEC reminded the public to keep in mind some simple reminders to remember before voting. Here are the important do's and don'ts during election day. The do's includes that make sure that you are a registered voter. Next is prepare your list of preferred candidates. Next is wear your face mask and observe social distancing. Upon receipt of your ballot, check the presence of any marking or if not, the ballot is torn or smudged. Next is use only the marking pen provided by the COMELEC in accomplishing or shading the ballot. Next, follow proper shading. Next is cover the ballot with the ballot secrecy folder while accomplishing it. And lastly is review your voter's receipt and deposit the same to the VVPAT or voter verified paper audit trail receptacle. And for the don'ts includes the following: don't tear or deface the ballot. Don't tamper the security codes and timing marks of the ballot. Next is don't erase any printing form the ballot or put any distinguishing mark in the ballot. Next is don't overvote. Next is don't take photos or videos of your ballot and the voter's receipt. Next is don't speak with anyone other than the electoral board or ED while inside the polling place. And lastly, don't bring the ballot or ballot secrecy folder and marking pen outside the polling place. Next is, since this year's voting process involves pandemic safety measures that must be observed in the precincts. Here's a guide on how to vote for your candidates while keeping yourself and others safe from the virus. Step 1 is have your temperature checked before entering the voting center. Step 2, proceed to the Voters Assistance Desk or VAD to secure your precinct and sequence numbers and assigned room or clustered precinct. Step 3 is go to your assigned room and introduce yourself to the electoral board by stating your name, precinct, and sequence numbers. For the step 4 is get your ballot secrecy folder and marking pen and fill out the ballot at the voting area. Step 5. Accomplish the ballot by fully shading the oval appearing before the name of the candidate you wish to vote for. Do not overvote. Step 6. Feed the ballot into the vote counting machine or VCM. Step 7. Check your voter's receipt and then deposit it in the receptacle. And for the last, step 8, have your right forefinger stained with inedible ink. And lastly, vote wisely, since the election will determine our next leader for the next 6 years. That's all, and thank you for listening.